welcome back to AR77. Today we're talking about form or function. What is it you look for in a replica airgun? Is it a level of realism? Are you looking for replicas first and foremost? Is that what you're after in terms of the way the gun looks, the way it operates? Or are you looking for an airgun first and foremost, and it's a bonus if it happens to resemble the real steel? Also, I guess by making this video, what I'm asking you is, are there other replica air guns that don't occupy space in my collection that you think are worth another look by myself? As I do intend to sort of grow the collection, I can't bring you a new gun every time I make a video because I'm not funded. Nobody sponsors this channel or this content or anything like that. So this is all my private collection. And although I do intend to grow my collection and therefore the amount of reviews you'll see, I'm always interested to hear what sort of a steer you would give me. I'm always interested to hear what sort of guns you think are worthy of my attention. So let's get into this. Let's talk about form or function. Which of the guns on the table would you go for? You've got four great guns here in their own way. You've got the PT92 by Taurus. You've got the SP2022 SIG. You've got the 19 by Glock, and you've got the Special Combat, the 1911 Special Combat there by Colt. These three are Umarex guns. Sorry, no, these two are Umarex guns. That's just a KWC, and that's a KWC also. I'll get into that in a bit, but let's look at them individually and see what there is, pros and cons about each of these that might sway you in terms of wanting one of these guns. Let's start at the shiny corner here. Let's look at the Colt Special Combat even by Umarex. Initially, when you first pick it up and you look at it and you see it in either magazines or on websites or whatever, I mean, it's hard to say it doesn't look like a very handsome gun. You know, first glance, it's really well presented, fantastic markings. It's great that you've got the Colt branding all over it as well. Colt there, you've got the kind of the medallion there in the grip on that side. You've got this lovely Colt again, and then Special Combat in not whatever font that is, but it's pretty nice to look at on this kind of brushed stainless side of the slide there. You've got the horse again there, and once again in the kind of medallion on the left hand grip as well. So it's a really well presented gun, really lovely two-tone finish. I think it comes across really well, especially with all the sort of chrome details like the exposed barrel there with the chrome on the trigger. You've got the chrome at the front end there on that kind of faux barrel bushing. Chrome on the hammer, chrome on the safety, chrome on the back strap. It looks really well presented, I think. It looks kind of almost quite dated, kind of 70s-ish, but a really well presented gun, I would agree. Then you've got other things that sell you on this gun. You know, you've got a working slide, so you can rack that slide. If you can get your hands around it, you can rack that slide there and it'll cock the gun. The slide will also kind of lock back if you want it to, not after firing. It's not a blowback gun, but the slide will look back, so you can have it like that. If you take the mag out, you can kind of see through there, if you will, and you've got, you know, a lovely looking piece there. So a working slide. Also, you can just release that and you can cock the hammer to fire. It's nice to cock and shoot like that in single action, or you can just use the trigger as well and shoot it double action there. So pretty robust in terms of its functionality. You do have a working slide safety there, so that won't work. Backstrap safety there. Your grip safety isn't working, but it's got its lovely sort of beaver tail there, so it looks the part. It's pretty sturdy, pretty quality gun. Full size mag, as I showed you. Full-size drop-out metal magazine, and that houses the CO2 and the ammunition. All these are good things. You know, this is a full metal gun, other than perhaps the grips. Everything about this gun is metal. It's very weighty. It's a nice kind of weight to it. And because you don't have that blowback, you get a pretty good power from this gun as well. They're the plus points. And if you like all of that stuff, all that cosmetic stuff, all that sort of bling and a bit of things that, the slide moves and your safety works, when it's cocked, your safety works and stuff, all these things, the Colt branding, the sort of faux wood grips, the two-tone slide and everything, the chrome work, all of these things might really float your boat. But some people will be looking at this gun and going, yeah, that's all great, but it's a non-blowback. And when I'm looking for a replica or just an airgun generally, I want it to blow back. I want to feel a little bit of a kick in my hand when I fire that gun. Also, when it comes to a magazine, this is great, it does everything I want, but actually I'd rather the magazine looked a little bit more realistic. I'd rather you couldn't see the CO2 housed in there. I'd rather you couldn't tell that was kind of a valve mechanism going on in there. I'd rather you couldn't see the tab at the bottom, because that gives it away that it's an air gun, and for me, maybe that detracts from the sort of the replica aspect of ownership of a gun like that. Maybe you're going even further than that, and you're looking at this gun and you're saying, that's all well and good, but as a replica of a 1911, there's no way that should be a double action trigger. It's just completely contrary to everything, or, well, specifically a key element of the 1911. Just like the single action army, just like a whole host of other sort of single action guns, for that to be a replica and have a double action trigger really detracts for a lot of people, regardless of how nice the gun looks. While we're on it, trigger shape, completely different to the actual trigger of any kind of really 1911 style pistol. It should be right back here, it should travel on a horizontal like that, and that's completely lacking any authenticity when it comes to a 1911. And as I said before, your kind of grip safety isn't working either. So for some of you, you go look at that gun, you go, that looks amazing, that looks beautiful, it does everything I would want from a replica air gun, and it's kind of like a replica of a 1911. It's really well finished, and that's all I'm interested in. And if that's the case, absolutely fine. But I do know that there are some of you who will be saying, I wouldn't part with my money for something that looks pretty but doesn't have that level of authenticity or credibility. So let's see what other guns there might be that people might be more interested in than other people. Let's move here. Let's look at the Glock 19 by Umrex. Now, I would say that this is, it's basic, but it's nicely licensed. You've got all your Glock markings on here. 9x19 and the Glock there, and the Austria, and you've got your Glock on the base plate. So this is really well presented gun as well. It looks great. In fact, at first glance, it's powerful as well. It's shooting at around at about 400 feet per second, and it's got some really cool sort of gadgety elements to it as well. You've got your tool in the back strap there, or in the grip, for your CO2 and to sort of pierce the CO2 valve there. That's really quite clever. You do have a working trigger safety there. You can't pull the trigger without that safety being kind of engaged. But that's where things start to break down for some people. Some people would say, well, on an air gun that I use, I want to take it outside with my kids or whatever in the garden, so I'd like there to be a working safety on that slide somewhere. Well, for some of you, that might be a key point, but for a lot of us, you'd go, well, actually, there wouldn't be one on the slide if this was a real Glock 19, so I don't want to see one on a replica version. Once again, some people would say, I don't like the fact that it's a double action only trigger. Why can't I rack the slide or cock it in some way? Why can't I do that? Well, there's never going to be a cocking hammer on a Glock replica, because Glocks are striker-fired pistols, or there or thereabouts. It's a different mechanism inside there. But yeah, you can't rack that slide. But again, some people would say, well, that's fine. I don't need to do that. As long as it shoots a BB at a can, I don't need it to be fully functioning. Some people would say the stick mag is a big issue. Some people would say, well, actually, that doesn't matter at all. It holds the ammunition and it covers up the kind of CO2 mechanism. But yeah, basic but functional. Is that more of the sort of thing that you're looking for in a replica airgun. Again, it comes back to that question, are you looking for an airgun first and a replica second, or a replica first and an airgun second? How about this? The SP 2022 by KWC, it's effectively a Sig Sauer gun. The SP 2022 is kind of a polymer lower framed version, really, of a P226. And again, at first glance, this looks great, nice and weighty. It's got a full-size mag this time, so that's going to be a step up over the Glock. Perhaps you're going to prefer that full-size magazine there. Looks a bit more realistic. And for those of you who are sort of safety conscious, you've got a working safety there that kind of disengages the trigger, as you can see there. So there's a bit more going on, but we have only got a double action trigger. You can't rack the slide again, similar to the Glock. And you've got no SIG markings. There's nothing there that says SIG Pro or Sig Sauer or SP 2022. You've also got this kind of lackluster kind of plastic hammer that doesn't really do anything. I mean, it's a powerful gun, but you couldn't honestly say that apart from its shape, it's an accurate replica in terms of its functionality. Does that bother you, though? I mean, personally, I quite like the fact that it's clean looking. I like the fact that it doesn't have writing all over it. I'd much rather a gun had nothing on it than had a load of white writing all over it, even if it was to say Sig Sauer or Sig Pro or whatever. So what do you think? Would you prefer that to the Glock purely because of that full-size dropout magazine? Maybe you'd prefer it to the Glock because you're a Sig fan as opposed to a Glock fan. And regardless of whether it's a replica you're going for first or an airgun you're going for first, maybe you go, it's just a particular sort of gun that I would like, but I don't want to buy, or I can't afford, or I can't own the real steel. And then finally, we've got this. This is the Taurus PT92, again, a KWC gun, branded and licensed by a whole host of different organisations. Crossman have these, Swiss Arms have these, a couple of others. Again, this is pretty plain, but on first glance, it looks the part. It looks like a decent enough gun, and I would say that it is. It's a great weight. We've got our full-size dropout metal magazine, so that's quite realistic. And you've got a bit of a window there. You can see the CO2. You can see where the ammunition goes, but it's pretty authentic in terms of size and weight. This gun also is fully functional. You can shoot this in double action or single action. You can also cock that hammer, shoot it like that, and every time you shoot this gun, different to the others, this will blow back after every shot. Every time you shoot that, it's going to blow back. You're going to get that reciprocation. You're going to get that kind of kick. And then after the last shot, that slide is going to lock back, letting you know it's time to drop your mag and change ammo. Put a new mag in with full of ammo and keep shooting. So you've got full functionality there. You've also got here your working safety, and it's ambidextrous. And true to the Taurus PT92 that this is a replica of, it is in the right place. It's there on the frame rather than on the slide. So it's not just like a kind of generic Beretta Taurus-y kind of gun. It does replicate the actual Taurus PT92, as you can see by the position there of the safety and the kind of the distance and the size of these rear slide serrations. Also, slight difference to the shape of the grip. It's a really lovely gun. Plus, you can also fully field strip this gun. You can take it down. You can get to your lower there, your frame, and you can get into your slide. Take your barrel out, get to all the workings and stuff. So you can have a load of fun with this gun, and yet it's not a licensed replica. It's just on the box for this. It simply says KWC PT92. So what sort of thing would you go for? Let me know. Let me know if there's something that, there's a few in my collection, things like the Glock 17, things like the Springfield XDM, that I am drawn to, especially, I like 1911s as well, or the 92A1 by Beretta. I like, personally, a fully functioning gun like that. I prefer something that I can field strip, that has blowback and everything works how it should work. That said, I didn't buy that for the sake of it. I really like 1911s, and I know that this isn't an authentic one, but it's still a really lovely looking gun, and for cosmetic reasons, I like having that in my collection. I also like the fact that it shoots quite hard. I quite like the fact that you get a lot of rounds through it for the CO2. So it's not just there for the sake of it. I'm a sort of person who likes a lot of different things about guns, but I'm interested to see what you like about replica air guns. Would you go for something like the Glock there, or would that stick mag put you off? Would you rather have something, if you're at that sort of price range or below, like the SP 2022? Would you prefer the full-size mag, or do you go, I would love that, but it doesn't say SIG on it, so I'll go for the Glock because I prefer to have a bit of realistic licensing? What do you think? And are you aware of any guns that you think I haven't mentioned across any of my videos that are worthy of my attention? I've got a pretty good idea what direction I'm going to go in for my next gun, but it would be really interesting to hear from you and see what your thoughts are. Once again, please do like, share, subscribe. There's a couple more videos to come this weekend. Thanks for getting involved with the comments and so on and so forth. Please do hit that bell if you're a subscriber to get notified about any future videos. As always, please take care, stay safe, all the very best. Bye.